Here, right around the corner, it's important to understand how the brain develops in order to help support teenagers during stressful and challenging times. With us today is Dr. Laura Saunders, a child psychologist at the Institute of Living, to explain how neuroscience impacts the teenage brain. All right, this is right up my alley right now. First, what does neuroscience tell us about the teenage brain?
Well, the teenage brain's long been portrayed as broken or immature and contributing to a lot of problematic behaviors. You know, the belief was really that adolescents were just risk machines who lacked any decision-making capability because they don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. I think what we're trying to do is really shift how we see the teenage brain, and certainly while there's risk and sometimes difficulty with decision making and a lot of inconsistencies in mood, but it's shifting the way we look at the teenage brain as being much more malleable.
And Dr. Saunders, how does the brain develop in the teenage years?
Well, it's not really linear from childhood to adulthood, right? Doesn't really take an even path. There's a lot of stops and starts. It's a time of amazing and dynamic changes. But what we've seen in the area of neuroscience in the last 5 years is a lot of shifts in how the brain does need to develop. And that really, there's a very heightened sensitivity to rewards, which we know that teens are very driven by whatever's next, whatever that carrot is in front of them, and which is why, you know, decision-making around higher risk behaviors often becomes concerning.
And tell us about how critical this period of time can be.
It's absolutely critical. And, you know, we know that the brain reaches its earliest size in early adolescence. It continues to mature even though it's, even after it's done growing. It is constantly ready to learn and adapt. The downside is sometimes mental disorders can really rear up in adolescence as well. And they're vulnerable to stress. So, you know, given all that we've been through as a society over the past few years, we really realized how much that has affected teenagers in particular.
And what is important for parents to know about the teenage brain?
So there are several things that parents need to be aware, and everything is always on a developmental spectrum, right? Younger teens will need more kind of guidance and rules and limits. Older teens need some, but the key through all of this is supervision and accountability. Your teen needs to know that these are the limits and this is what you're accountable for, and the more you can keep some level of supervision, that's what presents some of the bigger problems from occurring.
All right, and 15 seconds left, but where should people start for help if they think they might need it? And they shouldn't be afraid to ask, right?
Yes, so the Olin Neuropsychiatry Research Center's got some amazing research projects going on, and that look at the teenage brain. So, you know, feel free to contact the Olin Neuropsychiatry Research Center, and always at the Institute of Living, we're willing to help.
All right, Dr. Laura Saunders with Hartford Healthcare's Institute of Living. We always appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Take care, Lisa.